Forgive all of the foreign ministers and senior officials of the 79 countries making up the coalition that's been fighting ISIS for today, perhaps wondering, now what? Because as they gathered in Washington to consider next steps, that fight is about to get more complicated, even with its successes.
It should be formally announced sometime, probably next week, that we will have 100% of the caliphate.
Donald Trump underlined for them why, in his view, there's no longer a need for the 2,000 U.S. troops in that fight, troops Trump has pledged to soon withdraw.
Nobody thought it was possible to do it this quickly.
Trump's decision in December to pull back U.S. troops caught the world by surprise, including those in his own military. It led in part to the resignation of then Defense Secretary James Mattis. And even yesterday on Capitol Hill, this acknowledgement from Leonard Votel, head of the U.S. Central Command.
You weren't consulted before that decision was announced.
We were not. I was not consulted.
For Trump, it fulfills a long-standing pledge to reduce America's footprint abroad, and it plays well in many parts of the country. But for ISIS, say many, including again those in Trump's military, it's a gift. ISIS may have had its territory diminished, but the belief is that many of its fighters are now simply laying low, waiting for U.S. troops to depart before, potentially, a resurgence. The U.S. suggests that it is not fully abandoning the fight, but said coalition partners will now be asked to do more.
The fight is one that we will continue to wage alongside of you. The drawdown of troops is essentially a tactical change. It is not a change in the mission.
Said Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland tonight, Canada's role in that region remains far from over.
Canada, which is leading the NATO training mission in Iraq, is very focused on the fact that having won the war, it is absolutely essential to win the peace.
And Paul, you mentioned a possible ISIS resurgence. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, you know, when Trump talks about getting to 100%, he's talking about the amount of land in Syria no longer under ISIS control. He's not talking about ISIS fighters. A British group that watches this stuff carefully estimates there are still between 4,000 and 5,000 ISIS fighters hiding in caves and mountains, watching and waiting, and, by the way, still fighting. They're said to have killed nearly 200 people there since August. Even the U.S. Defense Department has warned Trump that ISIS could stage a resurgence within 6 to 12 months if military pressure against it eases up. As Chrystia Freeland noted, there's still work to be done.
The CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington. Thank you.